Somehow we even in the 21st century, we imagined that we discovered a magic machine that could make prosperity just by pushing buttons. And you're right. There was a direct relationship there between how much money governments allocated to stimulus payments and COVID relief, and the debt that was thereby created because the stuff hadn't been collected in taxes, obviously, and the purchases of this debt by central banks, and therefore the ballooning of their balance sheets. It's almost a dollar for dollar trade-off, particularly in the U.S. situation, amounting to about $6 trillion. And what it did was initially created a fascinating balance sheet for business. So you had a lot of businesses that were shut down, but a lot of others that are operating. The costs of their doing business fell dramatically for the large part of 2020, and we saw very little inflation taking place in the consumer price level. Bump forward 6 months, that trend started to flip, starting in 2021. Now the producer prices started to rise more and more, and consumer prices too. But crucially, the gap that separated the difference between producer prices and consumer prices began to widen further and further and further. So right now, and the PPI was just released this morning for the U.S. dollar, and it's rising. Let me see if I can remember, 11.3% per annum. Wow. Which is still much larger than the consumer price index, which I think the last look at it was 9.1. Yeah. So you see this gap. So if you can imagine, producer prices in 2020 were rising at a much slower rate than consumer prices. So producers built up a lot of inventory, started paying a lot of new wages, built up large management structures, expanding, good times all around, stock markets were rising. Then that inverted, and producer prices began to rise very dramatically, very high on a growing level. We had the second highest, June was the second highest increase in producer prices on record. The first highest was just only recently in March. And consumer prices have been chasing that all along. So if people are wondering if there's any chance that producer prices are going down, the answer is no, because the lag is built in there. You would typically have an 18-month lag. So now what's interesting about this is this took central bankers by surprise. They didn't anticipate this.